Hey guys, Rock and Robbo back with another online battle against TiberiumLeader in the Edain mod. So we were going on Dunland again, one of our common battlegrounds, and this is by far the best game we've had thus far, which is why the conclusion to this video will be incredibly sad. Anyway, as the match starts, I'll say once again, there is a link in the description below to both the Edain mod and the Discord server set up by me and my friend Umbreon. Please join it if you're an Edain mod fan, because there's other people in there who you can battle with and talk about the Edain mod, and it's a good way to contact me about it. So, as I said, check it out, please. Now, with that out of the way, let's get to the battle which has just started. Now, I have been watching every battle I've had with Tiberium to kind of learn the early game, and I remembered how he played Urukai, and all I've got to do basically is reverse it, because he loves the top right castle of the two. I don't know why. He always picks that one though, so I don't care. I'll just go wherever. But no, basically I'm just replicating the start I've seen him do on this map. Now, from what I remember, in the next minute or so, actually it's probably a little more than that, but Tiberium is really going to annoy me with something he does. But for the time being, we'll just focus on me trashing this Dunlending lair without triggering those wargs. That's what really scares me around here, because you can get drawn into the wargs as well, and they will kill your swordsman. I don't think there's any base infantry in the game that can take a warg lair. Any 2 units? Not that I can think of, at least. Maybe dwarves? Potentially elves, and here we go. This is where Tiberium makes me hate him. You see, and we'll go back to my base in a second after this warg has killed some of my Urukai. I actually had to leave one of those gold behind just to save my Urukai from dying. Anyway, I'll go back, and he's put that power underneath, which I'm not sure if it fully cripples them or just partially, but yeah, either way, he kind of screwed me over really early with that. And I will admit, I was a little upset at that, because I was like, oh man, I'm so out of this, I'm going to fall so far behind on resources. So I bought out Bill Fernie to get that settlement down there, and realised that they're not being upgraded, so I might as well just get rid of them upgrades and start building sort of the extra furnaces. I was a bit annoyed over here that those Urukai had been drawn over there because of the Dunlendings. I decided to build the other furnace there, because you make resources relatively quickly early game for what you need them for. It's not like you're buying tons of upgrades, you're just buying another building or two. So you may be able to make it very quickly. This is a good example of, I really wanted to build a lumber mill right now. I just love lumber mills. I love the sort of mechanic of it. You watch them chop down the tree and gather the resource. That's really cool. That speaks to my sort of strategy game love, dating back all the way to Star Wars Galactic Battlegrounds. But I've given up on them, and I'm now going for mines solely to make my Urukai cheaper. Even though, it doesn't look as cool. I was a bit worried there that I was going to kill Bill Fernie off quite early. Anyway, I was building a Dunlending lair there because I wanted to start pumping some troops out over there and taking out the Dunlending lairs quite quickly. And I really didn't want to be investing money into Urukai scouts to do that. Because, don't get me wrong, they're okay, especially if you can level them up and get them using their bows. But until then, they're not really that useful. I'd rather pump out Dunlendings and save up to get an upgraded Urukai pit. I'd start pumping out the actual soldiers. I was quite worried about these Urukai here. I didn't really want to be losing them. I know they're not great scouts, but it didn't mean I didn't want them to survive. I was kind of bouncing around the map a bit, sort of looking for upgrading opportunities and building. I have to say this lair was pissing me off a bit because they weren't killing it. So that was why I was quite glad the lending spawned, because that actually let me trash it a bit quicker. Now, apart from Wolfman, I actually haven't seen any of his troops. Obviously, I know because he has that little shit that he's Angmar, but I hadn't actually seen him since, and I was kind of wondering where he was and what he was doing. I assumed he was playing his usual strat of dominating the top while I went down the bottom. This time it was just a case of if I could do my part this quicker, and of course he turns up and he does that. So yeah, that happened, and obviously I hadn't bought any towers, so I just kind of had to sit there and let that happen, which was a little annoying. I've got to wonder if he could have taken down one of my furnaces actually with that. Nah. He didn't do it for a reason, so I'm going to guess that's why. I was quite upset here because I lost my scouts from not paying attention. I've got to micromanage better. I lose track of my troops. That's the problem. Now, one thing I forgot over here, I actually forgot to trash the remnants of the done landing lair. So that's now stuck next to my building and gonna start rebuilding soon. Yeah, this is the point I realised that, and I'm like, oh shit, I've actually got to destroy that. I upgrade build 30 because it's cheap and it makes him at least a bit more useful. Now, I get a bit annoyed after this as well because, as you'll see, when it falls, the gold part of it, it doesn't actually fall where it was. It fell inside of my building, so I couldn't get it. So the only way I could actually get that is if my building gets trashed, in which case my enemy will get it. So that kind of upset me. Anyway, I've been saving up some money to get the Urukai pit upgraded so I could actually get some decent troops out. And I was just using my Dunlandings to clear out all the wild men of Dunland, if that makes any sense. I'm using them to kill their own people. Suddenly I see these wolves running around thinking, what's he doing with these? Is he just using these to scout? He lost a few to my towers, but I wasn't overly concerned about them. The wolves don't threaten me that much, really, although I was worried for my defences, so, or not my defences, my outside mines, so I was building towers onto them to make sure they'd be safe, and a unit of Dunlandings there to keep that safe. I wasn't quite sure where he'd gone with them though, because he hadn't really spotted out any of my buildings and he hadn't attacked anything. I saw him trashing that down there and was just like, okay, so he's beaten me to that one, but that wasn't a huge disaster because we were doing well sort of elsewhere. Now with the Urukai at my disposal, I started pumping them out because they're obviously they're the backbone of an Isengard army. That was a little freeze there. You'll see a few of those during the game. Anyway, I'm trashing this. I'm just looking to build up my resources. I'm not overly concerned by them down there. It's some orcs and it's some sort of men of ROTWK. And then I see all these wolves here. I was just like, okay. Well, I'm not going to catch them, so I decided to just leave them. But I see them run over there, and I'm kind of tempted to chase them, but I've learned enough from him now to know that chasing isn't a great idea. But they've actually attacked me. So I'm just like, oh, well, I'd better go down there and kill them then, because, you know, you've got to take any chance you can get to kill a unit or two of enemies off. And that's when I split these two. These were the ones that were obviously attacking the goblin layer in the middle. I made sure not to chase them down. I didn't want to lose any troops stupidly, like I have been. You know, I was going to be quite proud of this moment, because I was like, oh, I'm going to sort of flank this unit, but my tower on that thing actually did all the work and killed the two the Thrall Masters, which kills the whole unit. So that's what happened if you didn't know that. If you kill the Thrall Master at the back of a unit of Angmar like that, then it kills the whole unit. So always aim for them if you can. And guess who's back? Yep, that's him. I just don't know how he knew the perfect 2 to go for. He actually took the 2 that I'd started upgrading. And that's what really upset me. If I'm being completely honest. That really annoyed me. They were just like, how did he know? Buy the Orcs, because they're the obvious pick to get at this point. There's no other real choice when it comes to that at this stage. I mean, if it was a bit later on, then I've got the Saruman one, but it shouldn't take that long to get 2 power points again if I need to. So I've sent these down here. I didn't actually buy pikemen to take care of this because, honestly, Angmar doesn't rely on cavalry. All it has are the elite troops and the wolf riders that, to my knowledge, aren't particularly good. So I wasn't concerned about that and decided to just go after the Warglare with crossbowmen and some swordsmen to trash the groundworks. I was kind of worried that he might have built the outpost down here, which is why I just spammed out all those done lendings, but he didn't, so I cancelled him and went back to buying Urukai. Now that trash, I actually start building the mine here so that we can get out just a second or 2 earlier. To be honest, at this point I've not really been keeping that good a track of my command points. I've just kind of been spamming units out so I've got a lot of presence on the map. If you look, I've got quite a force of done lendings down there and I'm getting quite a powerful force of Urukai back at the base. And I want to have more presence over the map, which is why I've done it like that. Like I said, the wildmen aren't particularly good, but they're numerous and they're cheap. And they are very useful. So I've got this outpost controlled down here. As much as I'd love to get steelworks, it's 3,000 gold resources, sorry. And there was no way in hell I was going to get that, so I bite the bullet and I just get a regular outpost. Now, I wasn't quite sure what to use this for, also this was the second big bit of lag. Eventually I decided on just making it a bit more of a resource one again to build it up, and then in time sort of build the steelworks on the other one. So I build up these first 2. The furnace got me to 6, so I got the max of upgrade, sort of making them cheaper. And I bought a mine to make my Urukai less expensive, because they're bloody expensive really, although they are incredibly good, so it's justified. I wasn't quite sure what to do with the 3rd place. I had the money to buy another resource building, but I kind of wanted to keep my options open and potentially go for a siege works down there and launch my siege from down there. This will prove to be a mistake later on, but these things happen. Now this is just him trying to go for another run. I'm thinking, yes, this time I can kill him. I've got loads of crossbow and I've got a bunch of towers. We're going to kill him. He runs through all of my Urukai. He manages to do that. And he gets out completely unscathed. Suffice to say, I was not very happy at that development. So, yeah, he got away again and managed to do that again. I was actually starting to get really annoyed at that at this point. This is where I should have bought the 3rd resource building on here. Get another mine going, but I was quite intent on making that my sort of staging area, I suppose, for my siege. The plan was to use the done lendings and the siege weapons down there to attack the walls and use the Urukai down the middle as like a distraction. Now at this point I was starting to get a bit worried about seeing a big army formed on sort of his behalf, because Tiberium he just comes out of nowhere with a massive upgraded army, and I'm worried that this is on the way. So I've sort of pulled my Dunlendings back so they wouldn't be seen, but I see on the map that there's this big blob of green down there. And I'm thinking, okay, what am I going to do? I've got to focus on building my Urukai first, and of course then that's when they finally come to view. I'm like, damn, okay. He summons his orcs, I summon mine in response, and this big fight breaks out. I buy Tainted Land to give me an advantage, and he responds immediately by getting his damn obelisk thing. So I'm just like, okay, so I'm not really going to be able to pull an advantage here, because he very cleverly moved all of his Numenorians behind his orcs. So I had to kill them, his useless troops, to get to the worthwhile ones. He's got his wolves up there, but I don't really care about them. They're not the danger here. I started sending all my army that way, because I'm thinking that's a lot of troops he's got there, and if I can kill them, you know, Numenorians are expensive. They're not upgraded yet, but they are still expensive, so, you know, if I can wipe out a good deal of them, you know, that makes the losses I take over there worth it. Now, obviously, my Dunlendings don't stand a chance, and my buildings are looking pretty sunk as well at this rate, because my Citadel's taken a lot of punishment. I have to admit, I was surprised how long the Dunlendings held up. They never gave up, really. I expect them to die much quicker, especially with Hualdi there and Karsh. They eventually take down my Citadel, and that proves to be very devastating to this outpost, which you'll see a little later on. I'll focus on it. But right now, I'm not bothered. I then have the idea I can sandwich them here, because as soon as he sees my army, he's going to run the other way. So if I send some of my troops around the other way, we can cut them off. I wish I'd sent a few more around. And to be honest, as soon as I saw this, my crossbowmen should have rotated around. I'm still not great at the whole sort of micromanaging them. And if I had just sent my crossbowmen round the other way, I would have killed a lot more of them than I actually did. Because I couldn't catch them, they basically were able to get through this pretty much unscathed. Although I did make it cost him. Karsh weren't getting away. I guaranteed that. I ignored the rest of the army. I wasn't going to catch him, but I was going to kill Karsh. I saw this thing being summoned, I thought I'd kill him quick enough, but he survived. Obviously, unit crossbowmen thought it was a good idea to stay down here and attack nothing. Now, back to the Citadel, as you can see in the middle there was no icon for it. I couldn't rebuild it. So, that kind of sucked. I was stuck with an outpost with 2 buildings on. So, I didn't really know what to do with that, but with the fighting going on, that wasn't really a priority right now. This here is another example of me not paying attention to my command points or resources particularly well, and focusing on the fight too much. Because if I'd have looked at it, I'd have been able to save up and get some heroes out. Instead, I did pump out more Urukai, which isn't a bad thing, because Urukai are very, very strong, but it would have been nice getting the heroes out earlier and getting them some XP. But, you know, that's the benefit of hindsight. But I do learn a lot looking back on these battles, and I think if you do lose an online battle, you should do this. You should watch it back, because you can learn so much from your opponent. Well, I say do this, watch it. So save the replay and watch the replay, because then you can watch the whole map and see what your opponents did. I sent these up to scout and see what he was doing up here. He had a reasonably sized army, some upgraded troops. You know, I was worried by it. Now I was tempted to stand here and fight, because with these troops here, it would have been close. I'm not sure how that fight would have gone, to be honest. So I was sort of tempted to go over there and fight this. But the thing is, the more I thought about it, the more I thought, well, he's got Numenorians, and there's at least Hwaldir there. If he's got any other heroes, I could be in trouble. So I play it a bit more passively, moving my stuff to there, and my army down there into the corner. I pumped out a few more Urukai, not really thinking about the command point limit. I actually agree with what the crossbowman just said then. Shut up. Yeah, I decided that this outpost isn't really worth it. With 2 resource buildings and no ability to rebuild the citadel, it's kind of worthless to me. So I decided to abandon it. Tiberium can have this. I didn't really care. I knew he'd have the outpost in the top left, though. So I decided to focus my efforts over there. With an army this big, I had a very good chance of being able to sort of deal with it. So I send everything up there in an attack move. But my army is so broken up at this point. Now that's not the worst thing, but everything will get there in stages, and I don't need them getting in there in 4 different stages. That won't do me any good. So I decide to make them all group up there, or at least I tell them to meet up there for the time being. I'm watching the map, I'm seeing where Lurtz and the Urukai down there are. I decide to wait a bit longer, wait for the Dunlendings to catch up, because the plan is, I know that the minute I go forward, something will flank me to attack my crossbowmen. Whether it's some infantry, some wolves, or a catapult for all I know. And I wanted to use my second army to sort of smash into whatever tries to kill my crossbowmen. So that's why I delayed my attack. I see the green down there and know, you know, I was right to do what I did. He has a very big force down there. And even if I hadn't have, if I had won that fight, I'd have lost so many troops, and I've spent so much on them that I really couldn't afford to. But it would have been a very close fight, but I think he might have just had the advantage. I'm not sure what heroes he had, so I think it would have come down to that. And with only a level 1 Lurtz, a level 1 Wolfred, and a level 1 Ugluk, there's not a lot I could have done. As much as I wanted to kill him, I wanted to destroy this outpost and get this controlled. I was actually starting to save the resources up to make it a steelworks. Then I see him summon these bleeding orcs, and I'm thinking, he's going to trash, he's going to use his orcs and sacrifice that goddamn wolfman to trash a furnace. But you know what, it was an acceptable loss, because he's using them down there, it means he won't have them if there's a fight in the next few minutes. I decided to move all my Urukai through to there so we can hit everything, and all of a sudden the game freezes. And this is unfortunately where this game basically ends. It's very unfortunate. This game was looking great, I was enjoying it a lot, and Tiberium was as well. He told me on Discord after this that GameRanger had crashed, which threw him obviously out of this game, and that was it completely. I didn't know this, so I watched the whole progress bar. But I think at about 60% I alt-tab out and replied to Tiberium's message and said, you know, GameRanger's crashed. We're just both so disappointed at that. Because this was, and I think you'll all agree, this was the best battle the two of us have had thus far. So I do sit this out. Like I say, I was able to talk to him on Discord about it, and I know I've probably said this way too many times already, but join up our Discord, guys. You can talk to other people about the Edain mod or anything really, and it is a good way to get in touch with me if you want to chat with me about anything. So right, I won't make you watch all the progress bars, that would be boring. So thank you all for watching. Hope you enjoyed it. Thank you once again to TiberiumLeader for a fantastic match, even though we did not get to finish it. And I will have more matches for you, hopefully against other people as well as Tiberium in the future. So I'll see you all next time.